Ow.
What's up, everyone? Punchy back with Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 3 to Higurashi. We're just coming back from the last recording because, man, that one was really heavy. So we're trying to just, hopefully we're just hoping things get better at this point for Satoko, if we could actually do anything. Coach got into the car first, then turned around to the narrow path and brought the passenger side door around for me. I know how you feel so well it hurts. No, I think I understand it even more than you. But right now, just for now, please endure it. She understood exactly how you feel, so please endure it. If you don't, I know already. I'm sorry. Thank you for before. I meekly got into the passenger seat. The car accelerated quietly, and Satoko's house grew farther and farther away in the rearview mirror. We made a wide turn, and then I couldn't see her house anymore. Is your house that far away? It's in the other direction from the school, isn't it? I didn't bother to reply. I would have been hard-pressed to give him an answer as to why I was at Satoko's house. Coach didn't say anything anymore either. For a while, the two of us were silent, the only sounds from the gravel spraying over the road as we drove. I remember how Rena said things were different than last year. At the time, she had Satoshi with her. Satoshi protected Satoko, so that less of the sparks fell onto her. But now, Satoshi isn't here. Yes, that's the unfortunate truth. Coach seemed to understand what I really meant when I said that. It's a terribly sad, cruel story, but there's a limit to our resolve, our efforts, and our resistance. And it sounded like an excuse, but he was right. Even if Coach and I wanted to be people Satoko could depend on, that was all. It ended at the front door. No matter how much I shouted that I would be her Nini, no matter how much I shouted that I wouldn't abandon her, and no matter how much Satoko called me Nini, I couldn't do any more than that. Where on earth could Satoshi have gone? Right. Satoshi was another story. Her actual brother, Satoshi, he was in a position to protect her far better than we ever could. I guess this really explains Shion's behavior towards us when we just kind of casually said that Satoshi transferred away, because she knew this. I mean, obviously she liked Satoshi, and she also knew this side. Like, she knew what was happening. She probably knew how it affected Satoshi, and just for Satoshi to disappear, it seems like a. I mean, he obviously cared about Satoko, so it does seem like kind of like a big insult to him. He was in a position to protect her far better than we ever could. Now think about that. That was the cold, sad truth. The massive gulf between Satoshi and us. I wonder what he's been doing lately. Satoshi left home. I didn't know why. Maybe it was because Oyashiro-sama's curse, or he disappeared or something. In any case, he wasn't beside Satoko now. At the time Satoko needed him to protect her most, he wasn't there. He wasn't here. Why isn't he here? Satoko needs him now more than ever. A lot of people talk about Oyashiro-sama's curse, but the only thing I can say is that he ran away. One of my friends said that one day he just never came back. He ran away without leaving so much as a note for his sister? Satoshi-kun had been doing part-time jobs a lot. At the time, Satoko-chan really wanted this huge stuffed animal. It ended up costing a lot, so he was doing all sorts of part-time jobs in order to afford it. He felt so strongly about it. Everyone was whispering about how he at least wanted to get his sister a nice birthday present, since she was being made to live with such a pitiful life with her uncle and his wife. In the end, he didn't use his savings for a birthday present for Satoko. Satoshi-kun disappeared, and the police looked long and hard. They found out that Satoshi-kun had withdrawn all his savings himself on the day he left. After checking all over, they began to think that maybe he'd use his savings to go to Tokyo. Tokyo? For what? Again, all I can say was that he ran away. He saved up all that money so he could run away? He was that selfish? Come on, Punchy, you know there's gotta be more. But how could he just leave Satoko behind? If he was going to run away anyway, he should have brought Satoko with him. Even now, Coach was still calm. He wasn't trying to pour any oil on the fire of my anger at all. He just waited until my anger naturally subsided. After listening to growl about being crushed under the wheels for a little while, Coach spoke abruptly. Please understand, Satoko-chan left behind arrived at the same conclusion. I'm a burden on my brother, and that's why he abandoned me. He didn't take her with him when he left. How terrible must Satoko have felt, being betrayed by the brother she loved so much. But Satoko-chan was a very strong person. Of course, she had the support of close friends too, but that was how she regained her smile. I recalled how Satoko had spoken of Satoshi so brightly when I was eating dinner with her and Rika-chan a few days ago. At the time, I didn't think any more of it than how pleasant their sibling love had been. But now that I did think about it, I realized it was like she was peering to the distance from atop a pile of tragic perseverance. She said Satoshi-kun will be back for sure, and that when he did, she wanted him to see how much she no longer was no longer a burden. Satoko isn't a burden. She's way better at day-to-day living than me, and she can do pretty much anything. I mean, she might fall behind Ren and Rika-chan in certain aspects, but she's way more of an adult than most people. That's the result of her having worked so hard since she didn't know when Satoshi would come home. Her efforts are so painful. While she was living with Rika-chan, well, Rika taught her how to handle everything flawlessly. Also that she could welcome back Satoshi at any time, so that she could show him she wasn't ashamed. So, when is Satoshi going to come back? I asked Coach, but knew he wouldn't be able to answer. In any case, Satoshi ran away. He left Satoko and ran away from Hinamizawa. Someone said that when you leave Hinamizawa and run away, Oishiro-sama's curse gets you, right? Then, that made sense. Satoshi running away, and his disappearance, that would obviously mean people thought it was the curse, right? And they could smile, as though it were his own fault, as though he got what he deserved. Hey, Oishiro-sama, whoever you are. Satoshi didn't vanish because he ran away. You demoned him away with your curse, didn't you? If that's not what happened, then I couldn't forgive him. When did Satoshi run away? The night of the Watanagashi festival last year, when their aunt was killed by the deviant. It was a few days after that, on Satoko-chan's birthday. Oh, that's terrible. On Satoko's birthday? I slammed my hands on the dashboard in front of me with all my might. Satoshi, of all the days, He could have chosen to run away. Oh man, come on, Punchy. It's too suspicious. He couldn't. He probably didn't just run away. Well, I mean, I can, you know, moan and groan about it, but I've already been through 2 chapters, so obviously I do know more. Their aunt just died a few days before, didn't she? All your days of suffering were about to end, weren't they? You were just about to start thinking about a new life, weren't you? It's wrong to be happy about someone dying, but for Satoko and her brother, her birthday had come at a critical turning point. Their mean uncle had fled town, and the siblings would be left alone. They should have been able to be happy about that on Satoko's birthday. Satoko was probably waiting for her brother to return the whole time. Waiting for her brother to return when he never did. Waiting with bated breath for her brother to return, her hopes and dreams of a new life to come growing ever larger. But no matter how long she waited, he didn't come back. He didn't even contact her. Satoko, trembling in anticipation of a great present, just when she had to face the cold, terrible truth. Satoshi, fucking idiot. I could feel my blood rising to my head in my anger at Satoshi. I was frustrated. I was aggravated. I couldn't forgive him. Satoko still respected and adored her brother, and yet he so heartlessly betrayed her. Such a person wouldn't just come back. Now when he was most needed. Yes, no one would protect her. Not even her real brother Satoshi. So when she started to see you as her Nini, I was happy. Huh? I pray for Satoko-chan's happiness as well, but I have a position in society and a job to do every day. I have little time that I can devote to Satoko-chan. But you're different. You go to school with her, and you're close to her and Toshi-kun in age. I know you think you can only do so much, but you're in a position where you can give Satoko-chan a hand much better than I can. So, I want you to help her enough for the both of us. That's what I wish for. That's... Coach, you could... Of course, with my job skills, there are plenty of things only I can help her with. But in the same way, there are things only you can do for her. What I want to say is, we should both perform in every way we can. Was that a little too complicated? Coach added that, but I shook my head in response. When I heard him say he had job skills, it reminded me that he was an adult, in a different position from all of us. Maybe I should ask him about it. Oh, Coach, do you know a lot about laws? No, I know even less than the average person. Why? I thought back when I argued with me and the others about Satoko. Our children's arguments had only left us with the conclusion that we had to wait and see. But what would an adult think? What was it? The child welfare law? As an emergency measure to secure the safety of a juvenile, they can force him or her to separate from the parents. They can do that? So then, we could rescue Satoko from her uncle right away. Satoko-chan might not want that. Unless the person being abused wants shelter. Anyway, it doesn't go that far. Satoko doesn't want it? Why? Coach didn't answer me. I didn't know why he didn't. It was clear as day that Satoko's uncle was being violent and treating her like a slave. So, why? I clamped down on my frenzied emotions and waited intently for Coach to answer. But he never did. It wasn't like he was pretending he hadn't heard me. If I had to say, it was more like he wanted to explain, but couldn't put it in the right words. Satoko-chan probably thinks of this abuse as a trial. A trial? This isn't some weird religion we're talking about. You might know this, But Satoshi-kun always looked out for Satoko-chan. She always relied heavily on him, almost as though she was utterly dependent on him. I'd known for a while that Satoshi had always protected Satoko from their aunt and uncle, but that was his duty as an older brother, not something to worry about. I think that maybe that may have traumatized her. Maybe she figured that depending so heavily on her brother had made him hate her. And as for Satoko, the current situation was a retelling of the story of over a little over a year ago. But this time, Satoshi wasn't there. Here. Can't read that, can I? So I believe that now, she thinks something like this. She wants to overcome this trial by herself, without relying on anyone else. And that if she doesn't grow strong, then Satoshi-kun will never return. Now that he mentioned it, Satoko never said a word about how hard it had been before. I figured she was being threatened not to talk about it, but I talked with everyone and we were wondering if we should report it to the Child Consultation Center. I have heard that a social worker was visiting Satoko-chan last year. Yes, in the end, they decided to wait and see, and we thought maybe that made her get tormented even more. That was... apparently, Satoko-chan reported it herself. And as a result, the abuse worsened, but was just kept out of sight. She was under even more torment, and the burden on Satoshi-kun protecting her rose considerably. Huh? Could Satoko... She wouldn't be thinking it's her own fault for reporting it, would she? Coach nodded quietly. Satoko-chan probably would either hate it if you suggested reporting to the abuse or feign courage and say you didn't need to. And if you reported it in secret, she'd probably insist to the social worker that she wasn't being abused. Satoko always acts tough and doesn't readily admit defeat, so I could imagine that easily. And there are strict limitations on this emergency measure. The Consultation Center would need permission both from the court and from the concerned party. If the abuse was known to the public, they could forcibly shelter her even if she denied it. For Satoko-chan, that would probably mean losing. This isn't about winning or losing. It's real life. Satoko, she's... Back on topic. After they placed her under their protection, she would be sent to a childcare institution or the like, and she would basically be living there, so it would mean moving away. And with the change in residence would come a change in schools, too. That... changing schools... it has to be done. If that's what it will take for her to be safe. Satoko-chan understands all of those things. All the more reason for her not to want it. Why? Because Satoko-chan's reason for living is to wait at the house for Satoshi-kun to return. She was a husk, an empty shell after being abandoned by her brother. How did she find her reason to live? Try looking at it from Satoko-chan's point of view, rather than your own. I felt like he was trying to confuse me with that hard-to-understand, roundabout way of talking so unique to adults. The point was that I couldn't do anything about Satoko wanting to stay in that house, and that I should watch until she gives in. In the end, no matter what I said, Coach himself was saying to wait and see. I don't understand. What? If I feel that Satoko is really in danger, I will report it without asking anyone's opinion. She might not be happy with the result, and she might hate me for it. But I believe that will be ultimately what brings Satoko happiness. Coach turned to me and gazed fixedly into my eyes. It was written all over his face. He was shocked, and what such a young kid had said. Why would you go that far? Coach. No, rather, normal adults. might not have understood. So I taught him the creed and the values that I believed in. Satoko is my friend, and I am Satoko's Nini. Isn't that enough of a reason? I stared at him with a will strong and unbreakable as steel, as his eyes betrayed a tiny bit of unrest. No. Of course that's enough. We were silent for a little while, until finally, Coach only said that. Didn't we make a promise? I'm sorry. What? That we weren't going to ever let Satoko cry? We made a vow on that day at the barbecue party. I didn't think about it hard at all, but Coach and I still made a promise. That we wouldn't ever let Satoko cry. Coach gave a dry grin of regret, immediately apologizing for not remembering. One way or another, when he grinned like that, it made me think that his enthusiasm for saving Satoko was a tiny bit smaller than mine. He lightly hit the brakes, making a skidding noise, and leaned forward. Could that be your house there? Oh, right. Mayor Bar-san would live at the Mayor Bar residence, wouldn't he? Before I knew it, we were almost at my house. Oh man. Oof. This one is heavy, but I guess more of like inner, like, you know, discussion between Punchy and an adult, so we can actually get some sort of perspective. Alright, we got another tip. Case 31. December 1, 1st, 1981. Prefecture Juvenile Welfare Division Report. Do not view, do not duplicate. Case 31, November 20th. Satoko Hoju, something years old. Residence, Hinamazawa, Shishibon. Hinamazawa Village. 1. Consultation circumstances. Anonymous telephone SOS of child abuse. 2. Abuse situation. Anonymous claims that a female child is suffering physical abuse by adoptive parents, her guardians. 3. Family structure. That's the mark of the abusers. The adoptive father, the adoptive mother, both marked as abusers, older brother, child in question. Note: in June 1980, the child's parents died in an accident, and she was given to her uncle on her father's side, her father's younger brother. 4. Child Consultation Center's response. On the day of the anonymous telephone consultation, the center of the child's school and the center called the child's school and asked her of the situation. The next day, the welfare officer on duty visited the child's home and heard what they had to say. Both adoptive parents agreed to the center's coaching, contacted anti-abuse network in the city. As part of the suggested coaching, a distinct welfare officer in the area began visiting for coaching at fixed intervals. The scrawled note below is stapled to the report. Related information from former official Mr. W. Refer to 1977 document D23 number 44. Ask Chief Investigator F from the city's education consultation offices. He is well informed about it. Okay, I don't know if that really gave us any clues, but that was just the report from the agency that Satoko, reported her abuse to. So we'll end it there, but I guess next time was, or at least this time, it didn't really involve Satoko much, but it was a good exchange between Punchy and Coach. I didn't realize that Coach would be that pivotal of a character, like, kind of like Kamita-kun, the baseball player. I think that's his name. Like, you know, just a nice extra side character, but he's like the Shein in all this, essentially, from chapter 2. I'm assuming the next day we'll be seeing Satoko, so I hope that'll go well. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.